Today we are continuing with our set of interviews that we are doing here for the baseline assessment and costing of new policies course. We have developed this course based on a set of experiences that we've had with a range of performance and expenditure reviews that we've done over the past 4 years. We've done 40 odd of these reviews. And today I'm interviewing a head of a consultancy firm that has been doing work for us, Dr. Matthew Stern from DNA Economics. He and his firm has been involved with the PERs from the beginning. I need to explain that the technical work that we do here in the PERs, the technical work that we have done on the PERs are done for us by consultancy firms. We have gone out in the open market and have tendered, and then people that won the tender were allowed to do the body of work that we require. It takes us between 6 to 8 months to do a PER, and one of the earliest firms that have started to do this type of work with us has been DNA Economics. Here today with us is Dr. Matthew Stern, the head of DNA Economics. Matthew, welcome and thank you very much for coming through. I really appreciate this. As I've said, you've been involved, your firm has been involved right from the early part in doing these performance and expenditure reviews. It requires a different type of methodology. Can you just give me some of the experience of your people in working on this methodology? How did they experience it? Have they done work like this before? Just some of your opinions on that.
Okay, no, thanks, Jeanette. Well, certainly we have not done work like this before. So the PER experience was unique and different for us as a firm and for consultants. On the one hand, the process is very structured. And for us that makes our task a little bit easier, in that it gives us a clear framework and clear tools that we have to use throughout the process. On the other hand, it's highly collaborative, and so it requires us to work very closely not only with you as the client, but also with the line departments that we are investigating, or the programs that we are exploring. And then it's also multidisciplinary, and so it requires not only a basic understanding of economics and public finance, but it requires us to bring a theoretical understanding of monitoring and evaluation techniques, costing, financial analysis, forecasting tools, Excel, data analysis, and so that makes it quite different and certainly very interesting type of work.
I want to go back to your statement around the multidisciplinary nature of this work. So when you think about putting a team in the field to do this work, what are your considerations? What are you thinking that they need to have, the skills that they need to have?
Right. First and foremost, you need to have an understanding of monitoring evaluation techniques, theory or practice, because fundamentally this is about understanding the performance of government programs. You need to bring the economic tool set to the project, and specifically an understanding of public finance principles. You need to be able to engage with people, and not only within government, but also some of the beneficiaries of programs. And then you've got to have strong data and analytical skills, not just to collect and assess the data, but also to develop the kind of models that are used for the costing and forecasting part of the project. And so Excel skills are highly, highly important.
Yes, yes. It's the Excel basis of what we do in government. I want to ask you around the team that has worked with us. What were some of their better experiences, and then we'll get to some of the worst experiences. Let me hear from your side.
So what was encouraging for us was working with the Treasury and government departments to collaborate and to try and find constructive solutions to pressing government priority problems. And so that is different, and that is extremely rewarding. And so it's a non-conflictual approach, it's highly collaborative, and as consultants that is different, and that is sometimes fun and sometimes challenging. I guess what is always most difficult is finding sufficient and consistent data. And so governments are good at reporting and recording expenditure data. They have some performance data, but putting the expenditure and performance data together can be tricky.
Always, yeah. Now, I mean, that is the core of our problem, is to put those two sets together.
Right.
But I hope that the insight that we bring in the PERs, that is we are able to do that with lots of hard work, as your team has delivered for us. Matthew, as you are familiar with, in the process of doing a performance and expenditure review, we have certain stages where we ask a set of questions at that stage, and then we get sign off before we move on. And this happens at sort of regular intervals. What is your experience of those questions? Were they appropriate? Did they help?
Right. I mean, and firstly, the process is fair, but also as a consultant working on a PR, it's extremely useful to have these set milestones where we are required to come in, report, engage with you before we move forward. And it's important for two reasons. Firstly, what's different about the PR process is that these engagements, these milestones, don't just involve us reporting to you, but you bring in a wider range of stakeholders. So it gets buy-in, and it serves as a useful check on us at an early stage in the process, and not only when we're getting towards the end. Yeah. And then contractually for us as consultants, it's always useful to have these neat, clear milestones so that we know what we are expected to deliver and when in the process.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that we then pull in both the departments, Treasury, as well as me from the GTAC side, the project manager, to oversee that moment. But there are also regular meetings, as you know, in between. So this is a quite intense process for a consultancy firm. Do you find that those meetings were valuable, or did they, in your view, how did they function? Intense, every 2 weeks we meet.
They're essential. I think one, you can go so far off track on a complicated research project like this. So checking in with you and making sure that we, one, are in agreement, and two, are heading in the right direction, and three, are answering the right questions throughout the process is very, very important. And secondly, the process requires and depends on the involvement of a wider range of stakeholders. And so to complete the process, we need to continuously be getting feedback, to collecting information from them, getting their assistance in setting up meetings, engaging with them. And so the continuous and regular interactions helps to, one, build trust and relationship between us and other stakeholders, and ensures that we're able to get the information that we need to complete the process.
Matthew, when your team looks back on some of these PERs, what do you think they would rate it as, fun or pain?
I think during the PR, they are intellectually fun. They are very difficult. But when the next round come up, we are again excited, and we inevitably put ourselves forward, just because the work is, one, so challenging, two, so interesting, and three, so important.
Thank you, Matthew. I hear you. Thank you, and thank you for the words. We have sat in this room with the team from DNA Economics for many years now, and quite often. And quite often we've had serious arguments, we've had serious discussions, and quite often we have laughed our heads off. So that's the process, that when you're doing hard intellectual work that you all enjoy, that you feel is meaningful, that's the process that you go through.